Hello, entrepreneurs. Joe DiChiara coming to you live from downtown Flushing, New York, with another amazing version of Joe DiChiara Presents How to Win at Business. And as always, tonight's episode is brought to you by Bedrock University. We are accepting new students. Classes are in full swing. There is no COVID-19 on the Bedrock University campus, so join now. We have world-class courses on there by world-famous entrepreneurs like Mike Wolf on team building, John Limbacher on how to scale your business, and I might even have a few courses up there at some point. But tonight's episode is also brought to you by Sudoku. If you're looking for handcrafted COVID-19 mask or other kinds of things like a gender reveal party banner that I needed for November 14th, which is tomorrow, for my daughter's gender reveal party. Get your Sudoku crafts handcrafted with love by my mom and my sister, Sid and Cookie. Sudoku.com. Act now while supplies last. So, tonight, if you don't know me, my name is Joe DiChiara. I am a CPA. I am an entrepreneuraholic. One day I woke up and I realized that I have an issue with trying to help new business owners start their business on the right track and helping people that might have started off track and get them back on track. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. It's very simple. I try to explain things and make what seems like complicated black holes of business. I try to make it as simple as possible. And that's actually my superpower. I have this amazing ability to simplify things. Hey, Shirley, how are you? Thanks for joining us. And if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. And if you're watching live, give me a hashtag live. I don't really know why, but somebody very smart told me to do that, and I just follow directions. So if people try to make things simple for me, I try to follow the directions. And the story is, and I'm not going to go through the whole PowerPoint thing, but the story is that what I discovered, folks, is that life is pretty tough. I read this in a book called The Road Less Traveled, and what Dr. Peck. It was written by M. Scott Peck, which is kind of strange, I think. When somebody has, why do they put their first initial? I mean, their first, I don't know, is it an initial or is his first name M or is it Scott? Why couldn't he just say Scott M. Peck and make it, so anyway, it confused me. It's obviously pretty simple to confuse me. And that just made it very simple. I said, oh, I'm not the only one that has it tough. We all got it tough. That gave me some relief. And then I applied it to my business. And I said, well, if I didn't have the business, maybe, because I put a whole nother layer of complication and making it tougher. That's what entrepreneurs do. And that's why I said, I'm an entrepreneuraholic. And if you're one, you know what I'm saying. It's like if you're getting, if you wake up every day with the world's greatest idea, I have bad news for you. You don't have the world, because I have the world's greatest idea every day when I wake up, most of the time. So if you think you have the world's greatest idea and that you can make money appear out of nowhere, you're an entrepreneur. I'm sorry to break the news to you. And it only gets tougher. If you're just starting out, it doesn't get easier. It gets harder. Okay, so now that, and hopefully if I've scared you out of business, then I've done my job. Because if you don't have the tenacity to go through the entrepreneurial gauntlet, you might as well go back to work or stick with your job, or keep it small. It's okay to have a small business. I just read something. There was a study that said that in the future, what people are going to do is they're going to have side gigs because it's easy. You can get you can have the security of a paycheck and work 5-10 hours a week in a little business and build it up. Now that's a strategy. That's a smart strategy. I don't do what I did. If if you want to have some stability and structure in your life, because I would wake up with the world's greatest idea and quit my job. I don't know why my wife had a problem with that. To me, it made sense. Why work for somebody so if you're listening, you get this, I don't have to explain it anymore. Okay. You already know that, or you're gonna know very quickly that it's not that easy. So my mission in life has become to make it simple. Can't make it easy. I can make it simple and understandable. And tonight, what I'm going to share with you, and I have to remove my first share, is step 4 in how to cut your taxes now. I had a conversation with a new client today, and I said, we need to get you caught up so that we can start doing tax planning. And that caught them by surprise because they never heard of this. And what I explained is, you don't do tax planning in February and March. Taxes are $365 a year. The way that we start planning to cut our taxes, to get a handle on them, to get control over what's happening, to have the data. We don't, entrepreneurs don't like surprises. I at least I don't. Business works a lot smoother when we can, keep everything nice, neat, and organized. Now, in the real world, this is never going to happen. I mean, it's always, as long as you're in business and you're growing, there's always going to be some kind of turmoil, some kind of and if there's not, you're doing something wrong. Because entrepreneurs need to go out there and do business. We don't just sit back and wait for stuff to happen. So there's always stuff happening, but the more controls and systems that we can incorporate without overcomplicating the business, the easier it is to succeed. And so tonight, let's go through the first 3 steps. The first one was, get an idea of what taxes actually are. Like, get your last 2 years worth of returns and look at them, put them side by side, line by line, and see what the variances are. Because that's what I do as an accountant. I look at it as a science. So I'm looking at the numbers and trying to see what are the numbers telling me. That's my history. So now once I know what the history is and I can bring it current, now at least I got a shot. And this step number 2 is to identify the different accounts that you're doing business with. Back in the good old days when I started and I was using a lead pencil, most businesses had one account, one bank account, and there wasn't a lot of credit card activity. It was pretty simple. And we got it down to a monthly routine, and we did tax planning all year. That's how it's supposed to be done. Today, nobody has one account. We do business through PayPal. We buy, all kinds of stuff through Amazon, and when it comes through, all it says is Amazon. We don't know what that actually is. We don't know if it's a business deduction or a personal deduction. So Amazon isn't really an account. An account is something like PayPal, where you can actually bill a client, you can actually leave the money in there, and then you could buy something with it. So it becomes like a bank account. So you got PayPal, now you got things like Zelle. I just can't keep track of it all. I can, but it's become a lot more difficult, especially if you're trying to control your taxes. And if you think you got a handle on it because everything's going through your email and the information's there, you're wrong. Okay, you're wrong. Another thing that you don't want is you don't want to combine your personal accounts with the business accounts. So right away, when you start doing your business with intention and you're looking at your tax returns, and now you're looking at how do I actually conduct business? Because those accounts are where you're going to get the information that's going to go on your tax return. So you need to gather your Amex, your credit card, your debit card, any account where you're conducting business. The objective is to try to minimize the number of accounts that you use. So, and what you want to do is you want to separate your personal from the business stuff. And again, people, you don't do this at the height of tax season. You do this now. That's why I said how you could start cutting your taxes now. Number three is something that we call a chart of accounts. We're gonna list our categories. So the categories, if you look at your tax return, there's categories like rent, advertising. These are the interest expense. Then you got everything else. They have a line for other, and then there's a schedule there if you look at your tax return. And if you're in business, people, you got to be looking at your tax return. Don't be scared of it. I get the feeling that most people are, there's so much fear, besides the numbers and the idea of taxes. It's a stinking piece of paper. It's a piece of paper. You got to look at it. You got to know what's in there. Don't just rely on your tax preparer. And that's a whole nother issue where I am flabbergasted at how many bad accountants, tax preparers there are. And I'm not saying just bad. I'm coming across people that are outright criminals that are actually showing their clients how to evade taxes. And they think that they're being heroes. Firms like that, what happens is they get a knock on the door. And then you get a letter, and these agents start piling in with these jackets that say FBI on them. and they seize everybody's records. I have clients right now that have gone through that. It happens all the time. So wake up, people. If you're in business, if you're serious, if you're not serious, then don't be in business. It's as simple as that. If you're in business, then pay attention to this stuff because it's important. Once you got all the categories down and you got your accounts, the next simplest accounting control that you could institute is a reconciliation. I'm not going to call it a bank reconciliation because it's, like I said, it's not just bank accounts anymore. It could be PayPal. It could be, Zelle. It could be a credit card, obviously. I'll tell you a short story about PayPal. Had a client doing very well. Went from 500 grand a year to a couple of million in like 18 months. I mean, his business was going through the roof. And I'm doing my job, and I start seeing a transaction going through a PayPal account that I didn't know about. Well, I got to ask him, well, it turns out that they were doing hundreds of thousands of dollars of business in their PayPal account. They kept the balance, and then they were paying vendors out of that. That sort of like belongs on their tax return. And he forgot. He didn't know I needed that information. Yeah, right, Scott. That's where you're a former client. Okay. So, all of your accounts have to be reconciled. So now, I'm not going to show you how to do a reconciliation. Okay. It took me a while to figure it, and we learned it by hand. And, I had to tick off every check that cleared. And it was a process. It was a bookkeeping, accounting process. But let me explain why this is important. The first thing the IRS is going to ask you for in an audit is a copy of all of your statements. And they're going to add up all of the deposits. And then they're going to total it, and they're going to see if those deposits match what's on your tax return. And then they're going to go through the expenses, and they're going to say, let me see the canceled check for this expense. Now, unless you have reconciled your bank accounts, you have no way in hell to know that the numbers on your tax return are going to match what's on your bank statements. It's as simple as that. So what I'm seeing now, folks, is I'm seeing all of these bad tax returns being done and no bookkeeping done at all. And these are the simple things that business, you have a responsibility to do this stuff. We don't get a choice. When you open a business, if you look at your tax return on the bottom, look at the fine print, because it says under penalties of perjury, you are attesting to the fact that the numbers on the tax return represent the activity of the business in a nutshell. And if you don't believe me, pull out your tax return and look at it. And if you think that your accountant screwed up and you're going to blame him or her, think again. Think again. Even if your accountant was a criminal and they arrest him, like I've seen happen, it's still your return. You can't just say, oh, but he told me it was okay. That doesn't fly. That doesn't fly, people. So, how do you reconcile your bank account if you're not big enough to have a bookkeeper? Okay, I hope that you're not doing your own stuff. I understand, a lot of people in business, go into business on a shoestring, can't afford, a professional. But that's why I do these kinds of trainings to let you know what's really important. So if you're going to do it yourself, at least follow some of the fundamentals. So let me show you my favorite app in the world, waveapps, how it has really it's taken almost all of the data entry out of bookkeeping, and the reconciliation. I still can't believe how efficient it is. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up one of my accounts. I've been using this account as a demo account. It's uh, a corporation that I have, Pro Bookkeepers. I'm winding it down. I'm just paying some credit cards and things that are still open in that entity. And so what I'm going to do here is let me share my screen. And so this is my waveapps account reconciliation for Pro Bookkeepers. And you can see, so I've reconciled only through July 1st. Okay, I started to reconcile August, but I stopped it, and I'm going to redo this. And so I'm not going to show you my bank statement. I don't have to. I'm just going to tell you what the balance is. At the, let's see, 7/31, and this is how this works in waveapps. So on 7/31, the balance was 1,334.72. So I got that right from the statement. So I haven't touched this account since the last time I demoed it, and it was probably a couple of months ago. And I haven't entered anything, so everything that's in here automatically came in. I only made sure that July 1st was reconciled so that I could reconcile to July 31st. So all I did was I opened it up, I put the balance in, and now I'm going to reconcile it. Now, in the past, you would have to actually check every transaction on the bank statement against what's in your register. Now, look at how waveapps handles this. I'm off by $15.26. I guarantee you, okay, $15. Okay, let's go. So now that didn't work. So I was off a little. So let's go to an earlier date. Let's go to 7/15. And we have 3604. Okay, so we're off by $15.26. Still off. and we're still off. So we're off by $15 for some reason. Let me go back to July 1st. Okay, so July 1st is reconciled. Okay, so there's a $15.26 difference. I'm not going to spend any more time looking for that. This is what I would do. I would go in here, 15.26, and we put it into uncategorized. And I will find that later. And it just went the wrong way. Okay. Okay, let's bring this forward. And they usually go very, very quickly, folks. So don't get discouraged here. I'm not. It's July 31st. And the balance is 1334.72. And that's reconciled. Okay, now I'm going to go to August. And my balance for August done. It's actually overdrawn there. And let's do one more. Actually, that's all I have. Oh no, we have September. So let's do September. And you will see. So we had the $15 discrepancy, but that's not really enough to stop me from doing the rest of the work. Just be aware that $15 is not buried. It's still in there. It's under unclassified transactions. When I go in there and do my accounting work, we look at the unclassified transactions and figure out where they go. Something like that is probably some kind of weird thing. It might have been a refund from an Amazon purchase or something. But you could see that after I cleared up that $15, I just did 3 bank recs in, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. That normally would have taken a bookkeeper for this amount of transactions. We're talking about a couple of hundred transactions. You got to enter them and then you got to reconcile them. That's at least a couple of hours worth of work for a bookkeeper. That has been eliminated. So that's the story. That is step 4. That's my story, folks. My phone is blowing up because probably we're doing pictures with the gender reveal party tonight. I hope that this helped. I went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but it's all good. That was step 4. Next time we will go through step 5. I hope that you are using this information to cut your taxes. God bless. I will see you tomorrow night. And I'll let you know what the baby is, boy or a girl. Thank you. Good night.